We'll call a meeting to order at 7:31. Minutes from October 29th. Do we have a motion to approve those?
It should be October 1st. Today's the 29th.
Oh, that's right.
My mistake.
October 1st.
Motion to accept the minutes from October 1st.
Second.
Any additions or corrections?
Nope.
All right, all those in favor, MJ,
Aye.
Ellie,
Aye.
Wayne,
Aye.
Carolyn,
Aye.
Tim is aye. Thank you very much. Payment of bills. We don't have any.
We do,
bills.
actually. I updated the agenda. Wayne
Okay,
did submit that he needs approval for $290 for reimbursement for the signs.
290. Do we have a motion
So moved.
and a second
Second.
and an explanation?
So in order to get the temporary signs, we thought that they were going to be charging us tax and stuff. And so it was a problem the way they were. So I paid for it myself and need to get reimbursed from the town. And they actually did not charge us tax. So,
Great, great. All right,
and I have possession of all those signs. So whenever we need them,
super.
Yay. How many did we get?
I think 10.
All right. Any other comments or discussion on that?
If you need
And
a
we'll
vote,
vote on
I
that.
can
MJ?
I can show and tell.
Have them?
I said I can show and tell later if you need. me
Yeah,
to.
MJ said yes.
Yeah.
Ellie,
Yes.
Wayne,
Yes.
Tim, yes. Oh, Carolyn,
Oh, thanks. Aye.
you want to show and tell now?
Give me 1 second. I'll be back.
That's next on the
While
agenda.
he's gone.
Well, he's gone.
I thought he'd get a kick out of that as he left the room, but he left too quick, I think.
Yeah. How's this up and down weather doing on the farm?
Holy mackerel.
Yeah.
We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7.5 inches in the last 4 months.
Of rain?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, those are
Yeah.
awesome.
That's great. They look good.
They look
Yeah,
they look big. How big are they?
No, they're within the sign bylaw.
Thank you very much.
I like that answer.
That's the right answer. That's right.
They're like
That's
2 by
great.
2 by 3 or something.
Cool. That's
I guess
awesome.
we've really made it now with those signs. Like we're on the next level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Think
Have
we
you
should put one up outside the Bullard House.
Yeah.
If we want to do that, we can put one up there. Yeah, absolutely.
Have
Could be
you
our
seen
first.
the QR code yet to see where it goes?
Yeah, well, I scanned it.
Like the one on the sign to
Yeah,
make sure that it's
I didn't scan
accurate.
it myself, but it should be. I mean, I put it on there and tested it, so. You're gonna make me do that and embarrass myself or something?
well, you don't have to do it right now.
Oh, no, he
Just-
does.
Just curious.
Sure, yeah.
Town of Berlin. Right to our page, Community Preservation Act page.
Nice.
Awesome.
That's
Perfect.
great.
It's magic,
I know.
See how up to date and all that we are?
right?
That's great. So any other comments on signs?
Well, I can talk to you about signs, but not, do you want to talk about signs in general?
Yeah, yes, please.
So, if I can share my screen, let's see. So this is the proposal of detail that I got back from Sign Logic about costs for signs. So the basic cost for a single-sided sign is 185 and they were very specific for Horseshoe Pond and for the soccer field. / pavilion. For the smaller one that we had agreed on for Powderhouse Hill, it'd be 145. And those are on PVC. You can see 1/2-inch PVC with the routed edge. For the tennis courts, Omega Bond is like, I think like an aluminum-ish type sign. So it's different material, but it's 1/4 inch thick. And it would be secured with, brackets that are not easily removed. And so there'd be one there on the tennis courts, pickleball / pickleball courts, and the community garden. So those are so there are 145 for those as well. We talked about we initially talked about just doing plain pressure treated posts, but what I asked her to do is give us pricing for the 3 different types so we can see. But we were initially talking just plain old pressure treated, which is the cheapest option. She was hesitant or recommending not to do it just that way because they will deteriorate and end up having to be replaced or are more likely. So she's recommending the PVC covered posts. So it's basically a 2x4 covered in PVC with a PVC cap, so no water infiltrates the post and it protects it. So, and I think we're not looking to have sign posts redone in so many years, and we want them to last. So that would be my recommendation. And because the signs are going to be white, that would be white. I think it would look good. I mean, the other option would be to do the black aluminum posts, but that would be my recommendation. I don't have a sample to show you, but I think we all know.
Yeah, I think it'll look more like a white painted post too.
A
It would-
white- a white-
painted,
Yeah,
like more of it would look like a nicer sign post.
yeah, I think so. And it's, the one cost that's not here, and we can decide upon that. So we have a general sense, and I can go back and get a final, because she just totaled everything up here. So this price really doesn't make sense. And I told her no tax, and she knows that now. But one thing she said is, and we had not really thought about this, Carolyn, when we were out, but do we want it to be a double-sided sign like this? So instead of mounting it, straight on, perpendicular, horizontal to the road, if we do it perpendicular, then as people, for the example for Horseshoe Pond, as people are driving, either way up or down Lyman Road, they would see the sign sort of as they drive past, instead of it being horizontal where they might not see it. So I thought that was sort of an interesting thought, to give it more visibility. I mean, we could always just have the one-sided, but for a little bit more, we could have it 2-sided. I think that would be the only application. I mean, I don't know with Powderhouse Hill if we would want to do that. I mean, we could do it there too, if we mounted it sideways, perpendicular to the street, so people driving by could see it. But pickleball court doesn't really apply. I don't know that we would want to do it that way at the soccer field or pavilion, but we could. So that's one detail that we would have to figure out. And the other thing that she talked to me about was, I asked her about install. So I did a spreadsheet to just sort of bring out the costs in total. If we were to do it exactly the way they are right now, not double-sided, it'd be about a $150 cost if we have all of the signs installed at the same time. This one, the pavilion isn't ready to do it this time, so price could change over time, but because I guess that really probably won't be ready till next spring. But it would be a separate install fee. But they said if we do all 4 together, it would just be 150. So unless we change it to like a double-sided, it'd be probably around 1150 total for all 4 signs. So that's all I have. And if we want to have some discussion about, do we want to consider double-sided? And then I can go back and really firm everything up. And then by the next time we meet, I mean, we are getting into November, but hopefully the ground won't freeze and we could still get these produced and in. And the other question I did have is, Carolyn, if you're going for a parking lot up there at Horseshoe Ponds, do we want to wait till that's in to do it, or do we want to do it in advance?
Yeah, I think we would definitely want to wait for the installation of the horseshoe pond one, just so that any heavy equipment doesn't knock it over or anything like that. That would be
Okay.
very sad.
Yeah. But that's why they have insurance, so they would have to pay for it. But if it's the town doing it, then
Well,
we
that's,
would be,
yes,
we would be on the hook for it ourselves.
right.
So the tennis court and community garden signs would be attached to a fence, is that right?
Yep.
So these figures suggest that there are posts and whatever involved, so that
Oh,
would,
I lied. Oh, then you're right. I'm totally wrong. I just put that in there. So yes, it would be less that. I just put it on there for each one. I wasn't even thinking. You are
but
totally
I mean, if it
correct.
was the community garden and the tennis court, and we're just, I mean, do we need those formally installed by these folks, or is it something that could be handled internally by the town?
I mean, they're special brackets. I don't know exactly what's involved with them.
Okay,
Right. How much is the installation
It's 150 total.
for all four? But I mean, we probably wouldn't be doing horseshoe, certainly not horseshoe pond right now.
I could go back to her and just say, what would it be? I mean, she was, I think, thinking all 3+. So when I come back with, a final, I can just confirm, okay, we're only going to do 1 in-ground installation and 2 fence installations right now.
Right.
I mean, it really, I think, depends on what's involved with that. So I think she was projection. I mean, she said between 125 and 150. So,
Right.
and in their time to come out and everything else. So if they're in the
Right. So
area-
if they charged us $100 to do the community garden and the tennis court, that would be $290, $390, because those don't have posts.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
this
so-
isn't in a spreadsheet that it's just a clip. I mean, I'd have to pull up the spreadsheet, which I don't have on this particular computer, so. So
what's
we
your,
don't have to vote, we don't have to vote a price today.
yeah, Carolyn, what's your sense about the Powder House Hill sign in terms of two-way,
Powder Hou-
one-way?
Right. So probably two-way, I think, and do it more like the Sudbury Valley trustees yard arm signs.
Well, it wouldn't be yard arm, it'd still be 2 posts, but it would just be perpendicular to the street.
Okay. Yeah, the only thing we'd want to talk to Fred and make sure we put it far enough in off the road that the plows aren't gonna mangle it the
Well,
first
that's another
year.
thing too. If you mount it perpendicular to the street, it's going to get the full force of snow hitting it versus if you do it sideways to the street, it's not going to get that kind of same impact. But I mean, it's built to be sturdy, so.
Right, and we should also just notify the guy who owns the property that we're gonna put a sign on our easement.
I don't know that person. Do you know that person?
Tim, you do, right?
I know it's Henry Pacific's son.
Right. That's kind of all I know about it too, about him as well.
I mean,
But
I don't
we
mind-
could
I don't mind
certainly send a
contacting him,
letter.
But I just don't have the contact info.
Yeah.
So, yeah, in terms of that site, if you back off from the street far enough so the plows aren't an issue, does it negate the value of a double-sided sign just because depends on how far, I can't remember that site specifically in terms of there's that hedge of arborvitae or whatever they are, and
I mean, you're probably going to want it to be back a certain distance anyways, like 5 feet or whatever, 5 or 6
Yeah.
feet. I mean, you're not going to want it. I mean, that's not an area where I think they're going to come super close anyways, just because of to me, the way the road is and everything.
right.
It kind of goes down there, but I think you're still going to want to be off, like, I don't know what the setback is, but maybe 5 feet.
Right.
And Carolyn, what about your thought about, so the Sudbury Valley trustees have mounted their signs fairly high.
Oh,
I
we
know,
That's
talk about it.
probably part of the reason.
We didn't talk about height, but yeah.
but in a single post, right?
Yep.
With the notion that they're a little less vandal proof, is that part of the reason?
Not that I'm aware of. My guess would be that it's twofold. One, it's kind of more, old fashioned-y looking. And two, I bet those signs survive the snow better.
What are they hung from chains or something?
They're hung, well, they're hooks. They're not really chains. They're just
Oh.
hooks hung on the top, but they can move. So they're gonna move more in the wind. They'll move, winds with snow and everything.
Yeah, I can ask her if you want to have that.
Yeah,
kind of
ask her if
info.
they can do a yard arm.
I mean, I could see how a yard arm at Powder House might have more appeal.
Right.
Is
Can
the
ask.
Sudley Valley trustee one, the only one they have like that is at 40 Caves, or is it somewhere else too?
In Berlin, it might be just 40 Caves.
And
How
that's
high,
on,
how high is the sign? I never thought of height until you just said that.
Right. I bet it's I bet the bottom of it is 6 feet off the ground.
you could walk under it,
maybe.
right?
Yeah.
And what's that post made out of?
It may very well be PVC because it looks like it's white painted.
It's round. It's a round post.
No, it's a square post.
Yeah.
All right, but you think so? To the bottom of the sign is 6 feet.
Might
It's
be,
up
yeah.
there.
Okay, how big is the sign?
Kind
Is
of
it-
like,
Is it 2 by 3? or
it's
2 by
probably
2?
2 by 3, but 3 by 2,
Right.
so it's more this way than
Oh,
this way.
it's a vertical versus a horizontal.
Yeah.
I'll ask the experts. I mean, if we
Okay.
don't get if we don't get these installed to spring, we don't get them installed till spring.
Right.
Well,
Uh,
I mean, it does appear as though we could move forward with the garden and the tennis court, regardless of what we do with the others. And that's, well, Powder House, I mean, if it wasn't until spring, it wouldn't be the end of the world. And Horseshoe Pond, we'd probably wait on anyway till the parking lot. So,
Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
so does it make sense for Wayne to move forward with talking to them about confirming the garden and the tennis court?
I will. I can just. I will. I can split it out now that I know what we want to do. And just I'll find out if I'll get her to give me pricing if we go double-sided yard arm or if it's possible or not possible. I guess what I'll do, Carolyn, too, is I can communicate with you. If I'm
Okay.
giving you options, so we can kind of try to nail it down. I mean, certainly we'll come back to the whole committee, but if there are
Right. I
different-
drive past an SVT sign in Sudbury every day to and from work. I
mean,
will
it might be
stop.
familiar, so.
I'll try to stop and take a picture and get some better ideas of height and all of that.
Well, that'd be great, because then I can
Yeah.
give her an example. Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I will, I'll get that information, you and I'll communicate about that information then, but I'll go back and try to talk about getting the garden and the tennis courts installed this year, perhaps. I can ask her too, if it's just those two, if it's something we could install or town could install, if they just give us the brackets.
Cool.
yeah,
We'll have another field trip, Wayne.
Excellent. Yeah, and I think, and then we can talk to rec too, because I think we talked about maybe moving the sign that's there currently. The other thing too, which is we're not really ready to go either, is do you want these to be, because that's the other thing I still have to do is customize them. So do you want it to say, tennis and pickleball courts, so it's specific to the location? And do we want it to say like, community garden fence, so they don't think it's the community garden? Do we want it to be specific like that?
I think so.
I would say, I guess I think so, since we have to have them customized anyways. Why not be specific?
Is everybody in agreement with that?
Yes.
Sure.
Sounds good.
Then I'll draft up the exact verbiage on the sign. And I'll make sure get one off to rec so that they can okay whatever they want to call it, tennis slash pickleball or whatever. And then I can just get that back to the, so we can approve, hopefully the next time we'll be able to approve the verbiage and the final cost and all that stuff and maybe move forward. I don't know if I don't think I'll put the QR code on them only because things can change over time. I don't know what you think, unless you think I should.
Well, aren't we, isn't the town in the process of trying to rehab the website anyway?
I mean,
So,
if they change the URL at all, it'll change it. So that's why I'm a
Right.
little bit, that's why I was trying to push if we do like a short URL. But did we find out if there's a way to do that? Like we could do Town of Berlin / CPAC. Like you can create that and then no matter what you do to a website, it's always going to be the same. So I don't know who we would talk to about doing that, but I think then we could put that on a sign because that would never change.
Hmm.
The QR code probably wouldn't change if it was that either, but you never know. I mean, I use QR codes, but sometimes they can go stale, so a hard URL wouldn't be bad. Maureen, do you
we
know
can
who we
probably-
talked to about the website? About if we wanted a short URL?
Well, as Carolyn said, I know that they're working on having anybody that manages a page meet with Civic Plus. So I've given out 2 dates with a gentleman that contacted us to see what can happen, so I can actually ask him at that point. So, he hasn't responded to my 2 dates, so we'll have to see, but,
I mean, it's usually a pretty simple task, even on the one we have, to just create
Mhm.
that. It's whoever has access, they could do it, and if they know how to do it, it's like
Right.
it's 2 seconds to set up the short URL. You just have to know the platform that it's on in order to do it. And then it's easy to reset up later on.
right,
I mean, all I'd want, if you want the specific question again, is just to have it says town of Berlin, townofberlin.org/CPA. Is it .org? Are we .org? Yeah, right.
we're .com at the
Oh,
moment.
.com. So
yeah, we're .com at the moment.
okay, so
yeah.
it's townofberlin.com/CPAC, and it would just point to our current page.
Okay,
All set?
Yeah, I'm all set. I know what I'm doing. Thank you.
Sounds good.
Closer.
Sounds good. No.
And
perfect.
Ellie, do you want me to get you a temp sign and you guys put it on, or do you want to get clearance from the historical group before I go put it on the front lawn? They go, where did that come from?
We have a meeting in 2 weeks, week and a half,
Okay.
the second Friday of the month, so
Do you want me to get you the sign with the stand and then you can show it to them and then you guys can
that
just put it-
actually probably would be good.
Okay. I don't know how to get it to you where you live, but we can connect about that after and we'll figure it out. I'll get you one.
Okay,
All right, good. Chair updates. So this Friday at noon is the deadline for applications for new projects. We do have one in hand, which we'll distribute to everybody after the 1st, before our next meeting, along with any others that we might get. Does anybody aware of any others that might be forthcoming?
So yes. Yeah. Ethan, I see your hand up. So Ethan Bickford has come to talk to us about the one that we're going to be submitting for the parking lot.
All right.
I don't know if you want to talk to him now
Well,
or,
let's.
all right, let's make him a panelist.
Tim, I wouldn't advise that.
Your sense is that we don't want to hear anything. I guess I'm only interested in the fact that there may be a project forthcoming.
Right,
we
this
don't-
is not really about details of the project, just about the
Okay.
Right.
application.
Yeah, just someone's going to submit a project that's what, so we don't want detail because we're not going to review any of these until we've got them all in hand. But I don't see any harm in advising us that there potentially is going to be, because we've already said well, I was going to say that there's one from the 1870 town hall. But what's your thought, Maureen? That's careless too?
No, I don't think it's careless. I mean, I think if Ethan's just coming to say, that he'll be either submitting it electronically or, he can come and see me Friday in town hall and deliver it hard copy, but, you really, I mean,
Yeah, no, I agree.
yeah.
I'm just interested in what we've
Yeah,
potentially, what we're looking at in terms of a pipeline.
yeah,
So,
because
Ethan,
Because
noted.
let me just do my admin matters real quick. So as I just said, I'll be in town hall on Friday. For anybody that wants to do hard copies. I instructed the town administrator's office that if anybody came in with hard copies, go ahead and get it into the mailbox. And then I would be in touch with them. I have received one electronically. When they all come in on Friday, I'll scan them all in and you'll all get them at the same time. And then you as a committee will have to figure out, when you'll be putting in, the dates for them all to start coming in, like starting in December for probably their first meetings. And then if a second or third meeting, that January and December dates. So that's kind of what happened. And then the last admin update is you'll be getting another article to review for the town newsletter.
Right. So Ethan.
Yeah.
You understand the limits, right?
Yeah, so part of the issue we've got is that we're waiting on a couple pieces of information. So I have a drawing being done by an architect, which will hopefully be ready by Friday. And then I'm waiting on a estimate from Fred on the cost. So, I mean, all that should be together, sometime next week, but I don't know. I don't think we're going to have it all together for Friday. So I just wanted to let you guys know and make sure that was going to be all right.
Right, so I was wondering, do you want us to submit the application and just say, support documents coming, so that the application is actually in on time?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we want, if you didn't submit an application by noon on Friday at all, nothing.
Oh, no, I'll submit the application.
Yeah, so, give us the application and then, supporting documents as soon after as you can. And then, like Maureen has said, once we've got those documents in hand, we'll send stuff around to everybody on the committee and we'll begin to talk about when we would be pulling people in for the preliminary discussions that we want to have about strategy and whether we consider it an appropriate project to begin with, and then begin to talk about setting up some additional meetings where they might come in with some additional information.
Okay,
Right,
perfect.
we could even supply like a hand-drawn sketch with the application just to start until we get the actual architect drawing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what that first meeting kind of does, is it kind of then tells the applicant, come back with these other things, so it's kind of.
Right. And
Yeah.
there's a stretch of time in between the first and our next meeting, never mind even a scheduled time to hear the applicant. And by then, we should definitely have, I mean,
Mhm.
if we don't, then we're in big trouble. So I asked Ethan to come in just so that we could clarify and let everybody know the situation.
So
Good.
Ethan, should I be looking for you electronically, or do you want to come see me Friday?
I work in Boston or maybe Gloucester, so I'll probably submit electronically.
Okay, okay.
Okay,
Good.
and probably sometime tomorrow, Ethan?
Yeah, that should
Yeah.
work. Friday
All right.
morning at the latest.
Yeah, I'll be looking for it.
Good.
Okay, great. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Ethan.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ethan.
Good.
So that means
Um,
we have two, potentially.
Yeah, and the other one's gonna be, like I said, from 1870, and their proposal's gonna focus on access, dealing with those front steps and how to negotiate some other option to get up into the building. And I think they're thinking about two phases, one that would look at design and another one that would look at implementation at a later time. So those are the two that we know about at this point. So
Okay.
that's good.
I know that June Miller was working on one for the clothing in the town collection, but I haven't talked to her about it lately, so I don't know where that stands.
You want to reach out to her and just let her remind her that Friday at
Yeah, at noon.
noon is our deadline? Yeah, that'd be great.
But it's okay if they have the details of some of the pricing and stuff afterwards, since they have time to prepare it. We just need the initial sort
Yeah.
of indication that they're planning to file it, correct?
Yeah, I mean, we want as much of those in, if you look at the application, it's got some of that, as I recall.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're not gonna fall off the end of the earth if they probably have some general idea about what it is they're going to be looking for in all these cases. So I think it's
Yeah.
fair to assume that there'll be some ballpark figure, but
Yeah.
and like you've suggested, Carol, I mean, a sketch, even if it's not a finalized plan, that's fine.
Awesome. That's what I was hoping the answer would be, but I did want to officially ask while there was still time.
Yeah, are people happy with that? Is that all right with folks?
Mhm.
Yeah. Now, the town meeting is gonna be December 9th. We'll sponsor an article if, maybe we should act on that right now. I don't know when the deadline is for the warrant closing. But we have discussed the notion of modifying the enabling language when we were first created, and it was specified that someone from the housing partnership would be on this group, and I think everybody's in agreement that we should switch that over to the housing trust.
Right,
So maybe,
the partnership's been dissolved, hasn't it?
not to my knowledge, has it?
Oh, no, I thought I heard that, but maybe not.
Well,
There might be.
I mean, yeah, I think there's work probably being done. I mean, they have money under their control, which there may have to be some town meeting action in regard to that as well. I think that's what some of the work that the Housing Trust has been doing with Kristen has to do with how to set up funds that take other monies besides CPA that have been set aside for affordable housing and place it in their hands rather than in the partnership's hands. And it may go hand in hand that the partnership is dissolved as part of that process at town meeting, so it's a formal vote. But if someone wants to make a motion that we place an article on the warrant that would change the membership from housing partnership to housing trust, that'd probably be a good idea. And then I can go ahead and start to formulate that language. And if the deadline shows up sooner than we think, we'll be fine.
So move.
Second,
Any discussion about that? So basically, it's just a change in the membership language as part of that enabling language when we first were accepted by town meeting. So MJ
Aye.
and Ellie,
Aye.
Wayne,
Aye.
Carolyn,
aye.
Tim is aye, so that's good on that one. So now Wayne, you asked a question in regard to use of funds for planning purposes.
Yeah,
Because there has been some discussion about whether the rec department or rec committee would be seeking money to evaluate what's going on South Common.
Yeah, I mean, I think that given what was discussed in past meetings about the possibility of a proposal, and then the memo that came out from Stuart, the letter, email, however you want to say it, this past week, talking about that. And it was, to me, even though we had been, it had been indicated by Julie that she had talked with him and she thought that it was okay. What I read was that it's not okay to specifically just do planning and plans and things like that. So I mean, I don't know what, I mean, we all got the same memo, so I just wanted that clarification because, I think as a committee, we have to make sure we're in agreement that what qualifies and what doesn't. And what I read in that was it does not qualify.
Yeah, so I went and looked at the consortium's website and looked at rec efforts and the use of CPA money for rec efforts. And so there were a couple of examples that I thought that the rec committee here could possibly use as a template. So like in Acushnet, they had a park and so survey work, engineering plans, that allowed for improvements. So this isn't like a master plan for for housing, housing production plan or open space plan. I think it's probably clear to us that you couldn't fund those with CPA money. But I think if they formulate the proposal in the right way, they could probably come in and say that they were going to have an analysis and survey work done and then engineering plans to explain what was going to happen to integrate soccer fields, baseball fields, all that sort of stuff.
But designing a plan to me based on something that you've already said, we have a plan and this is what we want to do there, and that's already defined, like these are going to be the uses for that. And now I need a drawing in order to, okay, that's different to me than just, hiring somebody to poll residents and talk about this and coordinate, the disparate, individuals and organizations that want to use South Common and what are all the possible uses and, should we have a walking trail and should we have this and so I don't know exactly what they're planning to do, but if they're doing that kind of survey work and, sitting down with a whole bunch of groups and deciding, this is how we want to use it and this is how it should be laid out, that's not the same thing as, having your master plan and saying, okay, we need to execute the plan, therefore I need a drawing. That's me, and I didn't go and do, research, but, Stuart also said there are plenty of towns that have done certain things that then you go back and say like, that's not necessarily. So just because you find a plan that somebody did, it doesn't necessarily mean. So I agree with what you're saying. I mean, if it's within the scope, but I don't know if other people feel the same way. And again, I don't know what the scope of what they're planning to do. And the other thing too is Stuart Stuart's email did talk about there are grant funds to do planning and stuff like that. So I just wouldn't want to see them hold up because there was some miscommunication or misunderstanding. I mean, granted, they haven't submitted anything, but it certainly has been discussed. I wouldn't want them to miss a window of opportunity going in another direction. And even more, if there are funds available from another resource to pay for the same thing, then let's reserve the CPA money to do the actual work for a hard tangible, product in the end versus, just a plan. And
Um,
I don't.
I
so-
talked to Stuart myself about some historical projects. And what he said to me when we're talking about master planning documents is, it's okay if it's part of a larger proposal that's specific to CPA funding guidelines. But doing a master plan just as a master plan isn't part of the CPA scope. So I think where you have a specific plan that has many pieces, that you need to have a larger kind of workflow, then it's okay to kind of have a master plan as part of that project, but a master plan as a specific project was not okay.
Good. Other thoughts?
I did send the chart out to everybody. I don't know if you all got it.
Yep.
Yep.
Now, what was that for? Was that,
That was because of that criteria talk that was part of Tim's chair updates. So when I met
Okay.
with him, I said, oh, let me go ahead and send out the chart to everybody so that, it's
Right.
on the website. You guys probably have copies of it, but be fresh in your mind.
I
Right,
handed it
right.
out to all of the historical commission members.
Good.
Just because it's a nice chart too, because like if you can just put your little check marks in it, then it can help you make your decision.
Yeah. Other thoughts from folks? I mean, it sounds as though if there is indeed a proposal, we'd reach out to Stuart and say, the way they've defined this project is X. And how do you feel about that, as opposed to if they massaged it and came with it as a proposal for Y instead? So it does seem to me as though there may be ways that they can accomplish some parts of what they're trying to resolve with CPA money. It may very well be that they have to make this into, as we've talked about before, a project with multiple funding sources, so that, part of it comes out of another pocket that funds the types of things that you're talking about, Wayne, where they're doing survey work or whatever, and outreach and forums, and then the design as a result of those informed opinions becomes something that CPA begins to work with. So,
And that's if we have to. I mean, I think if there's grant money that can be
Mhm.
achieved through another, I'd much rather see them go that route and save the money for implementation of a plan versus have us pay for something that had another,
Source.
bucket that they could have gone from.
Sure.
I mean, I don't know that they were aware of that other bucket, so, and Julie's not here today, so I'm not saying I'm not trying to avoid, spending things on, whatever, but I mean, I think, and again, I didn't talk to Stuart, so glad Ellie did. But I think, for me, one of the things is, the more tangible, the end result, the more I'm going to be thrilled about it. And if there's no other funding source and you have to do that planning, that's one thing, but, have people, and we aren't the ones that are going to always be doing the research to say, well, I mean, was there another funding source? I mean, that's a question we could ask, but we're only gonna know based on, did the proponent do their work? I don't know. I mean, I don't know how I would know that. Other than Stuart sends an email and says, there's a bucket, of money.
Good.
So I would just say, if there's a way to communicate back, to them to say, if you're planning on this or you're aware of this bucket, because I think that's important.
Good. Have I missed any other chair updates, Maureen?
I don't think so.
I think that's all we'd covered, right?
Yep.
Member updates. Anybody want to update us on anything?
You've all done a good job so far.
Yeah, I mean, we're better informed than we arrived, right? Public input. Do we have any public? No public. So there's no public input.
Yeah, I
Administrative.
figured that should go back on the agenda because we're getting into the application season, so.
Fiscal year 26 funding request applications will be emailed to all members the week of November 4th. So as we said earlier, anything that Maureen gets on Friday, those packets of information will go out to all of us the following week. The second Powder House article draft. Maureen, you said that the first article didn't appear as when we expected it. Is it been printed yet, or is it coming up next?
It's probably coming out Friday for November, I think. So
Yeah,
I thought we were going to be in the first grouping, but there was one that already went out and we weren't part of that one. So
Yeah.
The new Powder House, we have in the store here.
so does that have our article in it?
Yeah, I do
Oh,
believe.
good, okay.
Oh, good.
So then we're
Yeah,
good.
we were hoping
okay.
that it would be before the deadline. So
Right.
if that happened, that'd be great. And MJ's gone off to determine whether that in fact is the case.
Well, MJ's checking that out. The other thing too was, I don't know when, go ahead, MJ. If you
So yeah, we got part of the front page,
Hey,
and then continued on the second page.
great, thanks.
Nice. It's
Well
almost
done,
above
Maureen.
the fold.
Excellent. Excellent. I was just gonna say, I don't know when maybe it's part of our plan or how we define stuff, but I just think, I've been thinking a lot about the last meeting and Julie's discussion about, Tohoto potentially needing funds to repair their fields, and, she used some examples, and I don't know, I myself think that that's not necessary. I mean, to do something out of town joint, and I don't know. I just have a real issue with that type of thing. And I don't know if we need to define it or not, that, what types of things we would want to do. But to me, that's a budget line item. I think the school is not the same. I mean, I think people can make arguments for it, but I don't know if the committee wants to make, or when the appropriate time to do that is. But I just think that concept, and then and then hearing some of the feedback about issues that happened in other towns that you don't really get to control what a school does, and so
Right.
there were towns that spent money on fields, and then the town tore down the school and built it on the fields that had been repaired by CPA money and stuff like that. So I'm just not gung-ho for that in concept, because I just think that it's the school's job to do their own thing.
Yeah.
But
If I may, Wayne, I've been thinking about that last meeting too, and I thought that was a very impactful email that came from Stuart. And I did speak to Tim. It is probably time to start maybe developing some best practices and policies and put that into your plan. So that whenever, not everybody stays on a committee forever, there's a section that they can say, oh, you know what? That's not a best practice of ours, whatever it might be. But I was thinking the same thing. Things are getting a little bit more complicated and people are thinking that so I'm on the same, and I expressed that to Tim so the plan will be March. So So somebody, I'm probably gonna try to do some more research, just, you know, to pick and, pillage from other communities, because sometimes that's the best way to figure out, because if they've made mistakes, but yeah, like, I think there are probably towns out there that say, no, that's the school budget's business, and that's not what CPA is for, and they put it into their plans, kind of thing, yeah. But that
Yeah,
was an impactful email from Stuart, that was really like eye-opening. He said, oh, policies and practices, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and the hard part is, you know, and maybe the hard part with the school is that the school is not in our town.
Mm-hmm.
But even if it was, I don't know that that would change my mind. If Berlin Memorial came and said, we need a new playground and we want CPA to pay for our playground, I'm not sure I would be supportive of that.
Well, I think the issue more is that are town people really going to be driving to Boylston to use the
Correct.
fields at
The-
high
the-
school? They
That
might,
was more my
they might
point.
use it at Berlin Memorial, but they're not gonna drive to Boylston.
Right.
I think maybe one of the things we need to have as a kind of a point of discussion with the applicants is that the town people's use of the project,
Mhm,
particularly when it relates to recreation.
And I
mhm.
mean, and I think that we can always, you know, I mean, we aren't obligated to fund anything. So I mean, if we have issues with any one particular project, but I think that, you know, but if we have specific guidelines to, you know, prevent a lot of agita about, because we're all clear up front, like that's not what CPA money's for, then that just, you know, helps somebody not waste their time and in applying for something that's just we've determined is not an appropriate use of these funds.
Mhm,
I mean, you know, I think, I mean, we're the guardians of these funds. The taxpayers have been generous enough to be willing to, you know, have this additional percentage put on their tax bill for these types of projects. And I think, you know, it's our responsible to safeguard them, to make sure they're used for stuff. I mean, that's why I said, for me, being on this committee, it's about stuff that's tangible. You know, it's like, I want to know if CPA money is used for something, I'm going to physically see something, you know, as a result. I mean, I agree with what Ellie said, you know, if it's an initial part of something, fine. But if, you know, you need to do the plan in order to get to the something, then maybe you need to go somewhere else and get the plan done. You know, so. And I guess spring is the time to do it, according to Maureen. So we can do it after this.
Well, I mean, I'll try to do a lot of research and pull from other.
Yeah, I mean, if you
communities,
in
but-
your time and your research can find, you know, what are guidelines that other towns have, you know, put in
Yeah.
place, that certainly is going to help us, and appreciate your ability.
Right,
to
and
do
you
that
pick
research
and
as well.
choose what works best for you,
Yeah.
folks, but obviously other people have had problems and issues. It's
Yeah.
clearly that from that email from Stuart, it literally sounds like some CPA funds put a tennis court in, and then the school decided to tear it down and put like a building on top of it. That's
Yeah,
the
we'd be
problem.
That
so
would-
happy.
Yeah.
That's like, so those are things, it's like, you
Yeah.
know, and so in guidelines, best practices, and if something's in black and white, no one's gonna be wasting their time. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, and it also gives us the opportunity to put some thought into things ahead of time so that we're not kind of scrambling it when an application comes in.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Good discussion. Gives us some ideas about the homework we'll have to do for,
It keeps Maureen employed for at least 6 more
Match.
months.
Match.
Well, we know you love doing that Sherlock Holmes stuff anyways, Maureen.
you know what,
Right.
I just said to, no, I know we were being recorded, but whatever. I literally just said to Tim, I like this kind of, board. I used to do a ZBA, I like ZBA. I'm currently doing Board of Health. I'm sorry, over the mosquitoes, over, like, I'm so over it, like, it just, it's like, I don't care.
It's not as much brain food as you enjoy, right?
And there are people that are just as passionate about it, right? But I'm like, I don't get it, just not me. But yeah, give me this, I love projects, I love, like, you know, things that can come, like, you know,
Yeah,
make the-
every project's a little different. There's always
Yeah.
something new to be
Yeah,
interested
yeah.
in, and yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad the
I don't know,
mosquitoes are
it
gone.
probably feels like more of an accomplishment at the end, like. If your town had a mosquito problem 5 years ago and you do something and you solve it and, okay, that probably improvement, but you know. It's easier to be like, hey, we helped fund that building or that,
Right.
Right.
Well, and
Yeah.
mosquitoes are very polarizing. People are very pro spraying or very no spraying. It's like, so
Right.
every other phone call, it's like, oh my God, please, they're gonna be here forever, just leave, like, whatever, we can't, there's not a lot I can do about it.
Well, at least I haven't heard any ads on the television asking me to have an opinion on mosquitoes, so. It could be worse.
Right.
Yeah, it could be worse.
Got,
It could
gotta be
worse.
grateful for that, right?
Right, right.
And one other question, we, because of the way that the warrant article was written about the position that we partially fund that supports
Oh,
housing
right.
partnership, we don't have to put anything else. We won't have to do that next year, will we, or will we?
You did it for the 10,000, so one was from 25 and the 26 was already approved, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks. That was also on my little brain.
Mhm.
So we're gonna do some more research on this. That's good. The second Powder House article, when you expect that? You said November 11th. You think that's the case, Maureen?
Yeah, so I'll try to get it out to everybody so you can read it and either send back comments or whatever. But I think this one's gonna be kind of a no-brainer because you're probably just gonna introduce the projects that you're gonna be reviewing, right? That's.
Yeah.
It's gonna be pretty much that simple, and then just the timeline of the project, so I'll probably, do that, because then it needs to be to the folks that are doing it, that last part of November, so we're meeting on the 19th, so I'll get it out before the 19th, so people can review it, add, delete, comment, and then put it to bed on the 19th, and then I can get it off to the TA's office in the next day or two after that. Because the next week is Thanksgiving. That's just crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Any
Um,
other administrative matters?
One more, because I'm just
Go ahead.
fried brain. We talked about money that had, I think the last meeting we had, we talked about the monies that had not been utilized that need to come back. Is there anything that we need to do for town meeting to move funds back, or like from rec for the booth, or did you answer
No.
that? And I'm just being stupid.
No,
And-
you're not being stupid, but
This
so
time.
it was all done. It was done before July 1st. So, so the town accountant has it, and then when we get those progress reports from those applicants, so it's already even communicated to the state that we didn't use those monies for those particular projects, so it was all put to bed on June 30th.
Oh,
last
so it's
fiscal.
all done now. It's all back.
Mhm, yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Good.
So available and good to go, yeah. And like I maybe you weren't at this meeting, but what was nice about the reporting into the state website was that it didn't look like they were canceled projects. It just.
Oh, you
because
did
they-
talk about
Because
that.
they were part of something else, so I was glad they didn't look canceled. They
Right.
just looked
I
like
remember this now.
complete with monies that went back.
Yep.
That's what it looked like,
Okay,
yeah.
I remember this.
Yeah,
I apologize.
okay.
Thank you for.
Yeah, no, yeah. It's the fiscal year thing. But
Yeah.
with that, we did see June the other day too, so she's working on trying to get all the exact money in each account. But what did we have, Tim? Well, she
That
did give us
time
the
of year again.
reserve.
So,
And time of
The-
year
the-
again.
yeah, the figures that June gave us for the budgeted reserve, which is the account that holds funds that haven't been assigned to one of the three buckets, is $344,000.
Yeah.
No, 341. So that would mean if we try to practice what we've done in the past, where we're only going to expend money that we've truly got, that would mean that we could go into the town meeting in May with potentially 341,000. And hopefully, maybe this time not expend all that and be able to continue to build up a reserve that makes sure we've got funds for some surprise big project that might show up on our doorstep, and we'd have the capacity to respond to it.
But projects could still also be done out of their own buckets
Right,
also.
and so what I'll do for the next meeting is, to the best of my ability, calculate how much is in everybody's individual bucket based on what we've given them and what they've already taken away. Because there is some funding from this cycle that wasn't expended at town meeting that would be available for conservation and rec or historic or housing. Each of those, we didn't tap into the 45 or 50,000 that we assigned each one of those this last time around. So that would be available. And in some cases, there's some additional funding that hadn't been assigned yet either. So I'll try to have a figure for us so we've got a little better idea of what we've got on top of the 341.
Right.
And then we'll chase June for some more update.
Poor June.
Well, I mean, because normally we'd have seen tax bills by now and had to pay by November 1st. So, we're
I know that I heard that they were going to be delayed for, I don't know
Yeah.
the exact reason, but
so, and I think that's why we're unable to give exact figures for the specific buckets right now, but we'll work on that.
Awesome. And then we should know what
By
we're
the
getting for
15th.
CPA fund for the state match.
Right.
Is that the 15th or is it the end of the year, at the end
The
of the month?
15th, yeah.
The November.
So in
So,
like
yeah,
3 weeks, yeah.
well, it was a good memo that came out saying, it looks like it'll be a little more, so that's kind of nice to.
yeah.
Mhm.
Because last year we ended up with what, 179 from the state, and then we had over 300 ourselves, so we had
Yeah.
close to 500,000 again. And my suspicion is that we may run close to that number for what we generate, and then the state, if indeed we end up with closer to 200,000 from the state, that'd be great.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, because I mean, I think that, a bigger project could come along and we're gonna need it, so it doesn't necessarily mean it's every year that you have to
Yeah.
expend it all.
Mhm.
No, it'd be nice to have a $500,000 kitty sitting there that we weren't touching and that we could
Yeah.
really attack an opportunity aggressively if we needed to. So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have
that's
one
all I
more.
have. Administrative.
I have a favor to ask of Maureen.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
my phone committed suicide last Friday and I
Oh.
lost everything.
How
So
did
if
that
you,
happen?
oh, it was, I still don't actually know. So I
Oh
have
my
to
goodness.
plug my phone into my car through a cable to get the navigation up on the screen. And I was at a job site. I was trying to pull up a map on my phone and it was having trouble loading. So I didn't wait, not that I should have had to, but I plugged my phone into my car and it went black and it hasn't looked any different since Friday. So I've gotten, I spent hours yesterday collecting contact phone numbers from people and everything.
Wow.
But yeah, so, but I lost my calendar. So if you
Okay.
could, just email me the list of our meeting dates.
Sure.
so I can load those back in, that would be great.
That's
Oh my God,
It's
Karen, what a
devastating.
nightmare.
Yeah,
Sincere
Yep.
condolences on your loss.
thank you. Thank you. I had a lot of stuff backed up. I just didn't have everything backed up. So I lost. Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I said to my daughter the other day. I'm like, you know what never crashes? A piece of paper never crashes. That's right. Yeah.
Yankee ingenuity.
Wow. Okay, no problem.
Thank
Do you
you.
need any contact numbers that I might have of these guys or anything? I don't even know if I have
I don't
everybody.
think so. I mean,
Okay.
I've never actually had Ellie or MJ, so if you want to send me those, that would be great. Actually, if you would send me Eloise too. I haven't, but I've gathered Tim's and Wayne's and yours.
Okay. Yeah, I think Eloise is just the town hall anyways.
Okay.
Town clerk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Town clerk, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I
okay.
think that's it for administrative matters. Applications, we talked about that. Next meeting date, November 19th.
Yep,
Town meeting is the 9th of December. I think we talked about that. I'm meeting with the Finance Committee on February 5th to talk about CPA projects. If anybody else wants to join me, as long as we don't have a quorum, I'd be happy to have you join. Yeah, 7:40.
What date is
And
that? What date was that,
Some-
Tim?
what?
What day was that?
February 5th.
February 5th.
February 5th?
Yeah. To
You,
meet
are
with
you free
Finance
that day,
Committee.
Wayne? Right?
I don't know. what I'm
Yes.
doing next week. We'll start seeing- Or tomorrow.
But you guys probably should have your decisions done by then, like, because you have a meeting on the 4th. So you should we'll be probably ready to submit the warrant articles at that point in time.
Right. Looking at the calendar, the warrant's probably either gonna close on the 10th or the 17th.
Yep.
And it won't be the 17th because that's President's Day. That's the Monday holiday.
Oh, so it'll probably be the 10th.
All right. Anything else? Nice job. Anything else, Maureen?
Nope, just get busy to get busy. I mean, it's a lot.
Get busy to get
Get
busy.
busy, yeah.
MJ, it says, I've got what?
I've got your back and.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
I feel it is a great shirt all year round.
Yeah.
I made a special point that I needed to wear Halloween shirts.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yes,
that's
and
perfect.
October is one of the few times where I can wear black and orange together.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's a good way to end the
You're,
meeting. We have a
you're from
motion.
Marlboro. You can always wear black and orange. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
But yes, happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Yes,
I make a motion to adjourn at 8:39.
yes.
So moved.
And it's non-debatable. MJ,
Aye.
Ellie,
I.
Wayne,
Hi.
Carolyn,
Aye.
Tim is I. Thank you all.